So welcome, good morning again. It's a rainy morning in New York, but the fight continues. I guess as well Jude say, you have a fight. In a Jude him say you have a fight continuous for the gospel. But sometimes I don't even know. Sometimes I don't even know where some people are fight for, because the thing, if you read the thing, if you read the Bible, what they give us, it's really the Bible that they give us. I didn't write it. Some of these things is only because when me born, me hear about them, and now I've come to the age of understanding. So, may I try to help out too with this thing. So really, the New Testament, just like the Old Testament, it's law. It's a spiritual law, so that people can work together of different nationality, language, ethnicity, can work together and bring about the glory of the invisible kingdom here on earth. Some people understand this, some don't understand it, and there's a lot of lying and all kind of things going on, and it's difficult for people to see the truth. So we're gonna put some meat on this thing and show people, say, I just people where people exalt, I use their advantage statement to lie or whatever, or create things. But I have a understanding on these things too, just like anybody else. Now we're gonna talk about this again. We're gonna talk about verse 16 right so, where it says, and without controversy, great is the mystery of godliness. God was manifest in the flesh, justifying the spirit, seed of angel, preach unto the Gentiles, believe on in the world, receive up in glory. I've heard so many interpretation of that, and the interpretation is just right in the letter, where you don't really have to search and say this is Jesus, or all kind of thing, and it's just a sham. But anyways, let's get into what godliness is. Remember again, in John 4, I think it's John 4, Jesus plainly said God is a spirit. So from that point of view, where God is a spirit, where you can't say, now let's give an example where we are talking about when we talk about God is a spirit. God is a spirit in this sense that, let's look at the wind. No man ever see the wind. Literally nobody can see the wind. Even if you see like a storm, which is wind in a smaller version, if you see like hurricane or stuff like that, you never ever, nobody ever see the wind. What you actually see is the cloud. You see mist, and you see them twirling. If we look at the trees, and the trees, when the wind blow, we don't see the wind, we only see the trees, the leaves on the tree moves, or if there's a strong wind, it could break the branch or whatever. Nobody ever see the wind. We only see things that are physical, that move, and we know, so there's the wind is in it. In the sea, wind is blowing the sea, but you never see the wind. Even if they use incredible powerful microscope to see small particles that's blowing, or say it's the wind, you really can't see the wind. That's an example of the Spirit of God. When the Spirit of God blows, and take for example, as they speak, that we human beings are the tree, our government is the tree, and the Spirit of God blows, and a man will come up with, in this sense, anything good from God, we say that's of God. And the Spirit of God blows. We're just saying it blows. It moves upon the person, whatever the person, and the person put into action a law that is so beneficial. Then we see where the Spirit of the Lord move upon that person, not because the person, as in Acts, will scream out and speak in different language. That's the Spirit of God. That's the only way, the Spirit of God. manifest himself on people. That's just one way, or that's just a archaic way of saying you have to be filled with the Holy Spirit and speaking in tongues for God. That's come on. We gotta grow. The Spirit move, and when it moves, especially when somebody do something, and when you even look at Acts, and they start to magnify the name of the Lord, which the name of the Lord is not just Jehovah. They magnify the goodness of God, and they start to speak into other languages. So the evidence is, if anything we should get from Acts, or what is left, is the evidence that's produced by the Spirit of God is goodness, right? So basically, as I express myself just like that with the preface, goodness is really godliness. That's the Spirit of God moving, which we gonna conclude that is good. And when it moves from God and move into a person, moving a person out, and then move a kind, and the manifestation of that is beneficial or gracious, and it looks good, we say the Spirit of God was in this individual. Now, if it rests upon the individual, that's another conversation. And that's another conversation. If it rests upon that person, or it's in that person art, what the works that's going to come from that person, the sound that's going to come from that person, like a trumpet, is going to be goodness. It's just going to be good words, gracious words, stuff like that. So basically, that's the preface. So when we talk about going to great is the mystery of godliness, and people getting all kind of theology with this and all kind of craziness, that's not what Paul was saying to Timothy. As you start from the letter Paul is writing to Timothy, and you look here, when you look at even verse 4, neither give heed to fables and endless genealogy, which minister question rather than godly edifying, which is of faith. So do, right? Endless genealogy. When we look at the word right now, many people will get caught up in genealogy, and just a few people realize that genealogy really don't make sense, because the world is already mixed from a long time. Even if we use the Bible to substantiate that idea, the world has been mixed long time ago. Some people, that's why you have different shades. The world been mixed long time ago. So to go down in a genealogy, some group is still retain some form of their creation, in the sense that that's the way they were created. Some group retain that, and they're trying to retain it as pure, if they want to say pure as possible, which sometimes, whatever, it's up to them. But Paul says right here, say it minister question. And that's true, rather than godly edifying. See him use the term godly edifying. Godly edifying always is for good, beneficial for the person and for the group, for the government, for its citizen. That's basically what godliness is. But look at this even powerful statement. Now the end of the commandment is charity, out of a pure heart, and of a good conscience, and of a faith unfeigned. This is pretty much godliness. Now the end of the commandment is charity. So some people just refuse to hear this. And out of a pure conscience. Let me reiterate verse 5. Verse 5 is basically this: the second commandment, which me, in my understanding, this first verse 5 here bring into context the second of the two great commandment, which is to love thy neighbor as thyself. This is it right here. This is encapsulated into this. And a lot of people don't like this, because they prefer to love the commandment but not love people that they can see. Most people, most religious group believe that. But look at what he says. The end of the commandment, the end, look, E-N-D, meaning something is passed away. It's done. It's no more. It's gone. It's washed away. It's no more. That's what end mean. The end of the commandment, whichever commandment you want, it's the end of the commandment. It's done. It's no more. It's gone. It's under the sea. The end of the commandment is charity out of a pure heart and of a good conscience and of the faith unfeigned. A lot of churches don't like this one. It's the end of the commandment. Look here now. Which walk among you disorderly, working not at all, but are busybody. So this is the contrast to godliness. The contrast to godliness is people who which walk among you disorderly, working not at all, but are busybody. We know the people then. Now them that are such we command and exhort by our Lord Jesus Christ, which he come with the law, the spiritual law, that with quietness they work and eat their own bread. But ye brethren, be not weary in well doing. This is of truth. I feel just weary. So to quickly finish this, I not even want to do a whole heap of this. Godliness basically is this. He's always just making the contrast between the liars, those who are preach laws. Look what he said, for which some have swerved, have turned aside, because they're talking about genealogy and all of them things there, and all of these foolishness, and all of these things, and them talk about all of these things. So he's saying that from which some have swerved from and turned aside unto vain janglings, designed to be teachers of the law, understanding neither what they say, nor whereof they affirm. But we know that the law is good if a man use it lawfully. Now, he's telling you right here, so say it is the end of the law. But he's telling you also, say, if you know that the law is good if a man use it lawfully. I've seen so many use it unlawfully, and that makes people hate the law. Knowing this, that the law is not made for a righteous man. He's going back to verse 5. It's not made for a righteous man, but for the lawless and disobedient, for the ungodly and for sinners, for unholy and profane, for murderers and of fathers and murderers of mothers, for manslayers, for whoremongers. Now whoremongers are a man just will sleep with a woman. That's it. For them that defile themselves, that mankind, for men stealers, for liars, for perjured person. See here with Paul, this is not godliness. These are ungodliness, right? And as you go down, Paul right here, let me finish because this is it's all right. When Paul go right here, he's just telling you the working of the Spirit through all of this letter, a manifest goodness and order of things. That's what godliness is. And he's just saying here, and without controversy, which is actually controversy, great is the mystery of godliness. God was manifest in the flesh, whether you want to say Jesus, but God manifests in these people that's doing good. The Spirit of God manifests in these people that's doing good, right? They manifest in the flesh. They manifest in the people's mind and heart. The Spirit of God manifests in the mind and heart of the people, and they starting to do godliness. That's what he means. The Spirit of God that's in them is justified in the Spirit. Of course he is justified. That's God. Of course he's going to be justified in the Spirit. Seen of angels, it's the same Spirit of God as the scenes of angels. Preach unto Gentiles, it's the same God that is preached to Gentiles. The Spirit of the living God is preached to Gentiles, how they should order their life, how they should manifest so everybody can be beneficial. That's what it means. So the Spirit of God is preached unto Gentiles, and believe on into the world. Is the Spirit of the living God is believe in the world and receive up in the glory. Is the Spirit of the living God who came down to men, who was received up into glory. Is the same Spirit. It's the same Spirit. It's not all these things that people talking about. So God is manifest in people's flesh. God is manifest into people's mind and body, and they live according to when the kingdom of heaven come down to earth. That's basically what it says. And now the Spirit of the living God now said to those who he sent. Now the Spirit speaketh expressly that in the latter days, latter times, some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirit and doctrine of devil. Now if God is a spirit, is evidence that there are many more spirits. of lies and all kind of things, and they're gonna seduce the people. So I just want to quickly finish this since we're gone 15 minutes already. So without controversy, which it has become a controversy, great is the mystery of godliness. God was manifest in the flesh. Paul is saying God is manifest in the people. God was manifest in Jesus the man. It was the Spirit of God, and then good laws, spiritual laws come through that man to the disciples, and then the disciples disseminate it again to people, because it's the Spirit of the Lord that came to earth through the man, through the vessel, and start teaching people, and then it expanded in the world. Now of course we know so the devil have a huge kingdom too, and so they corrupt the word, they corrupt people, they trick people, they seduce people, and all these things. That's why there's so many confusion, and indeed a lot of people depart from the faith, because if I read this clearly, Paul express the same thing and make things more clearer. So we are talking about all of these things, fables, genealogy. We are talking about Noah and the water full of the earth. We are talking about fables. We are talking about giants on the earth. We are talking monster man was on the earth, which they didn't even know, because these things are spiritual. And I just be a confusion. So anyways, friends, big up on yourself, and I pray that if you come and you listen to this is just basically, if you read verse 16, you can't read verse 16 and understand without, at the beginning, that the godliness is just God, the Spirit of the living God, that manifests in our people, and hopefully those people can create good laws that they could be beneficial and other people to be beneficial. And basically that was it. Peace and love.